Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Unique Paradigms podcast. Welcome to our discussion. Recently, I've been approached more about Kali Ma and meditation practices that have been pivotal in my own identity development. I feel that the path towards faith is an internal journey and it should be inclusive. It helps us develop a more global understanding and embrace other philosophies and traditions. As a devotee, I do feel a deep connection to my Hindu and Shakti influence, so I do bravely defend our culture and tradition. My educational journey was intended for defining a voice in corporate structures for women of color and to navigate these discussions as an educator. Paradigm shifts, it impacts people differently. So in many cases, people are very emotional when it is concerning faith. But communication is vital as we continue to retain our culture and seek to change our environments. But our internal peace is within our control. So when we are faced with adversity, or we do feel that we're bullied, or others feel or tell us that our religion is untrue or fake, it is within our control to find our internal peace and to remember that people have a variance, a difference in perspective. So it can be difficult. But as an Indo-Caribbean from Guyana, I have been fortunate in my immediate family to have retained much of my East Indian ancestral connections. So my journey towards Shaktism became more well-defined about 15 years ago through my Kali worship. Although I was raised in a Hindu home where Sanatana Dharma foundations and Tamil influence was prominent, I was curious about other cultural and ancestral connections at an early age. But I did develop an interest and understanding the duality of femininity and masculinity in Indo-Caribbean cultures as well as Indian cultures, and how this influences our identities. In Shaktism specifically, the traditions are more feminine. They embrace the female goddess form as being powerful. So it is opposite of traditions of Sanatana Dharma at the same time. The variation of Shakti process can also extend into devotional puja rituals, folk, shamanic practice, yogic influence, where we're looking at tying into Kundalini and Tantra. So it is multidimensional. And it does take time to discover what aspect of traditions in Hinduism or Shaktism is more prominent in defining your own identity. Throughout this experience, I've had experiences where there were negative comments without understanding the belief system of Shaktism or why I worshipped Kali or the understanding of the exposure. Also, being from an Indo-Caribbean culture, there was more of a folk shamanic form in our traditional societies. So this can be viewed as being tribal in nature or even extreme. However, we do see in ancient Indian societies that there were Trajva tattoos. So we do have roots to our Shakti practice that are still prominent in many countries, especially Guyana and other parts of the Caribbean. There is a stigma, though, that exists among traditional Hindus regarding the validity of Shaktism and how the female goddess forms are widely worshipped. Kali is actually viewed as compassionate and loving among her followers. She is depicted in a variety of different forms. So the most prominent image that we see is her stepping upon Lord Shiva, a skull garland, skirt of detached arms by holding a beheaded demon. But it is a shocking image to some. As we integrate more into Western societies, we definitely are probably going to be in more conversations where we need to explain the image more often than others in the Eastern Hemisphere. But the depiction of her being atop Shiva, it does tell a story. It tells a story of the battle between good and evil. and her conquering that fight of evil. So the depiction also in imagery of her being black or blue in nature is also looked upon as being a universal form of infinity. But I've seen how many others are seeing this as a view of colorism, and how we can seek to understand other meanings behind these images and murtis that we worship. So I do look forward to taking this journey, a journey to more of a critical analysis of Shaktism, Bhakti, and the role of yogic rituals and the influence on identity development. I look forward to also shifting more paradigms with you. Talk to you all soon.